So today was PMQs and the announcement of the budget. For those of you that missed it, it was rather boring with Reeves rambling on and hiking up your taxes, and Keir Starmer getting blasted and not answering questions. In today's video, we will be going over a few clips of him trying to bury stories and acting in a completely arrogant way. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the Parliament Watch to keep up to date with all things Westminster. So our first clip takes us to acquisitions of the Prime Minister burying our veterans to cozy up with Sinn Féin. Listen to his answer. It's terrible.
Prime Minister, you mentioned veterans a few minutes ago. As we approach Remembrance Tide, one group of veterans we all owe a great debt to are those who served during the Troubles in Northern Ireland. Hundreds were killed. Thousands were maimed by both Republican and so-called Loyalist bombs. Many of those veterans now in the autumn of their lives. And yet you're proposing to repeal the Northern Ireland Legacy Bill, which was designed in part to protect them from endless investigation and reinvestigation. Why, sir, are you throwing those veterans to the wolves to pander to Sinn Féin?
Can I just say, the honourable member's been here for a long time. You is not me. I don't want it to be me. Please, Prime Minister.
I'm not.
Following this, he was asked indirectly by Richard Tice about withholding information with regard to terrorism. His answer, you guessed it, nothing to do with the question. Have a watch.
Richard Tice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The government's own independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, Jonathan Hall-Casey, has said repeatedly recently that it is important in incidents of terrorism that the authorities put out more information sooner in order to prevent an information gap. Does the Prime Minister agree?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, obviously I'll tread carefully in answering this question for the very reasons that you yourself set out at the beginning of this session. I think it's very important, first and foremost, that in all cases, including the particularly difficult case that the Speaker mentioned earlier, that the police and prosecutors are able to do their difficult job. And all of us in this House have a choice to make, including both candidates to be the next Tory leader. They can either support the police in their difficult task, or they can undermine the police in their difficult task. And I know which side I'm on.
Rachel Blake.
Then lastly, another arrogant answer. Have a watch.
First, we had the embarrassment of the Labour Party being sued by the Trump campaign. Then we had the national capitulation of...
Let me hear the rest of the question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Then we had the national capitulation of the government over the sovereignty of the Chagos Island. And now we have had the personal humiliation of the Prime Minister at the Commonwealth Heads of Government Summit. All of which begs the question, Mr. Speaker, how on earth does a Foreign Secretary still have the full confidence of the Prime Minister?
Mr. Speaker, I was intending to say that he was an upgrade on his predecessor, who, of course, drove up thousands of pounds in mortgages, but I withdraw that now.
Then goes, bruh!
I don't know what the point of PMQs is when he's not answering questions. What are your thoughts on Starmer and today in general? Let me know in the comments. In some other news, Lord Craig Mackinlay has highlighted a serious consequence of Labour's changes to inheritance tax, following Chancellor Rachel Reeves's budget announcement today. Addressing the House of Commons this afternoon, Reeves announced 3 major changes to the tax for Britons. Reeves confirmed that the freeze on tax thresholds until 2028 will be extended for a further 2 years, until 2030. The Chancellor also announced that inherited pensions will also be included in inheritance tax, and the government will reform agricultural and business relief from April 2026. Reeves told MPs, "I understand the strongly held desire to pass down savings to children and grandchildren, so I am taking a balanced approach in my package today." Reacting to the announcement, Lord Craig Mackinlay told in an interview to a news channel that Labour's plan is ill-conceived and warned of a real seriousness tucked away within the legislation. Mackinlay explained, "On inheritance tax, tucked away in there is the real seriousness in my view. So you built up a business, you are now allowed to leave £1 million value of business tax free to your heirs and successors. Anything above that now will bear tax at 20%. So you imagine you've got a high-value business with no cash. Where are you going to find this 20% IHT from? Are you going to have to close up this business? Break it up?" Noting the policy on agricultural property relief, Mackinlay also warned that the threshold is also a very serious measure. Launching further criticism onto Labour's budget announcement, Mackinlay hit out at the government's tax on jobs by imposing an increase on employer national insurance contributions. Slamming Reeves's pure wordsmithing on the measure, and their claim that it doesn't break their election manifesto pledge, Mackinlay told in the interview, "It's pure wordsmithing to say that that doesn't break the manifesto pledge. An employer has a certain budget for staffing, and now they've got to pay an increased amount of employers' national insurance. This is a savage rise. Not only the 13.8% up to 15%, but reducing the threshold down to £5,000 from just over £9,000. What that means is, if you've got an employee on £9,000, the employer has got to find £600 more just to keep that employee going." Issuing a stark warning to employers as a result of the increase, Mackinlay added, "What's the employer going to do? Are they going to suffer lower profits? Probably. Are they going to perhaps look at his old staffing budget and say, well, I'm going to have to let one go? What does this really mean in real terms? It doesn't just come out of thin air. This is a very serious measure." Lastly, Prince Harry must eat humble pie after Prince William offered an olive branch, according to a royal commentator. It comes after Prince William mentioned his brother, Prince Harry, in a clip from his new ITV documentary, making it one of the rare public mentions of his brother. In recent years, royal commentator Rupert Bell said to mend the broken relationship, the Duke of Sussex must eat some serious humble pie and say, "I've messed up." When speaking about the documentary with royal podcast host Kinsey Schofield, Bell said he expects Prince William to discuss his younger brother and their childhood more in the episode. Bell said, "It would be odd if he didn't mention in this documentary his brother, you know, the backstory. I'm sure he's sad about the breakdown because they were very close. They looked after each other, and that's what's so sad about it. The only way the olive branch is going to happen is if Harry eats some serious humble pie and says, 'I've messed up.'" In a pre-released clip, the 42-year-old heir to the throne recalls a touching childhood memory of him, Harry and their mother, the late Princess Diana. Prince William said, "My mother took me to the passage. She took Harry and I both there. I must have been 11 at the time, maybe 10. I had never been to anything like that before and was a bit anxious about what to expect." William added, "My mother went about her usual, making everyone feel relaxed, having a laugh and joking with everyone." The royal brothers' long-standing feud is thought to have begun when Harry told William he wasn't doing enough to include Meghan in the royal family after their marriage. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British political content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.